Descendants 6 is coming and everything is about to change. The pocket watch is gone, Maddox Hatter has been stopped, and the villain kids finally have their happy ending. But right before the credits rolled, Pink found something. Something small, something quiet, and something that Chess warned us about with just one sentence. The story isn't over yet. What if that one object is about to undo everything Red, Chloe, and the entire team fought so hard to protect? What if the next movie doesn't start with peace, but with a whole new nightmare? Stay until the end, because I'm about to break down everything we know, everything that's been hinted at, and everything that could be coming in Descendants 6. Let's start right where Wicked Wonderland left us, because that final moment with Pink is honestly the biggest mystery of the entire movie. After everything settled down, after Maddox was captured, after the Queen of Hearts and Cinderella were finally safe, and after Red and Chloe's friendship was fully repaired, we should have gotten a clean, simple ending. And for a moment, it really did feel like one. But then Pink found something. We don't get a clear look at what it actually is. We don't get an explanation. All we get is Chessie's warning that the story isn't over yet. And honestly, that line alone is enough to make anyone nervous. Chess isn't a character who jokes around about serious things. So if he's the one telling us there's more trouble coming, we should probably take that seriously. Now here's where it gets interesting. Throughout the entire movie, we watch how easily good characters could turn evil under the wrong circumstances. We saw Chloe become evil Chloe the moment she started believing Red didn't care about her anymore. That transformation wasn't caused by a curse or a spell forced onto her from the outside. It came from her own emotions spiraling out of control. That's important, because it tells us exactly how easily this world can turn someone from a hero into a villain. So now imagine Pink holding onto a mysterious object that we already know is connected to something evil. If emotional pain alone was enough to turn Chloe dark, then a cursed or dangerous object in Pink's hands could do something even worse. And honestly, Pink's personality makes this theory even more convincing. Out of everyone on the team, Pink is the most energetic, the most impulsive, and the most unpredictable. She acts first and thinks later. If she ends up being manipulated by whatever this object is, or if it starts changing her the way the pocket watch changed reality, we could be looking at the most chaotic version of a character we've seen in this entire franchise. And that's not just my theory. Liamani Sigara, one of the cast members, actually said she would love to see Pink turn evil. She specifically mentioned wanting to see that side of her character, and when a cast member says something like that, it's usually not a random comment. Most of the time, actors avoid saying things that could accidentally leak real plot details, so when someone hints at a specific transformation like this, it's worth paying attention to. If Pink really does turn evil in Descendants 6, this wouldn't just be a small side plot. It would completely shift the entire tone of the movie. Instead of a team working together against an outside villain, we could be looking at a story where the heroes have to save one of their own from herself, which is honestly one of the most emotional and intense directions this franchise could take. And when you combine that with everything else we already know is coming, this movie is shaping up to be something much bigger than anyone expected. Now let's talk about where this story might actually take us, because if the rumors are true, Descendants 6 could be leaving Wonderland behind completely and heading somewhere none of us expected, Neverland. This isn't just random speculation either. There are actual statements from the cast that point directly toward this idea. Liamani Sigara, the same cast member who talked about Pink possibly turning evil, also said she would love to see the sixth movie take place in Neverland instead of returning to Wonderland. On its own, that might just sound like a wish from an actor. But then Kiara Romero, who plays Hazel Hook, said something that lines up perfectly with that idea. She said it would be fun to meet her dad, meaning Captain Hook, a character we haven't properly seen in this franchise yet. And that's not where it stops. Alexandro Bird, who plays Louis Madrigal, and Kiara both went even further and revealed exactly who they would want to play their fathers in the movie. They said they would love to see Javier Bardem play Captain Hook, and Lin-Manuel Miranda play Louis's father. Now think about this for a second. Actors don't usually throw out specific casting wishes like this for no reason. when multiple cast members are already talking about which actors should play their parents. It strongly suggests that these father characters are actually being planned for the story. And if that's true, then Neverland becoming the new setting makes complete sense. This would be a huge shift for the franchise. Wonderland has been the center of the story for so long, but Neverland brings an entirely different kind of danger. This is Peter Pan and Captain Hook's world, a place built around pirates, magic, and dangerous bargains. If Pink really does turn evil like we talked about earlier, Neverland would be the perfect place for her story to unfold, especially with Captain Hook potentially being involved. Imagine Pink, already unpredictable and impulsive, ending up in a world run by a pirate who thrives on chaos and manipulation. That combination alone could create one of the most intense storylines this franchise has ever attempted. And if Hazel Hook truly gets to meet her father for the first time, that adds even more emotional weight to everything. This wouldn't just be an adventure into a new world. It could also become a personal journey about family, identity, and legacy, especially if Hazel has to face who her father really is. So if Descendants 6 really does take us to Neverland, we're not just getting a new setting. We're getting a completely new kind of story. One filled with pirates, hidden pasts, and dangerous new alliances that could change everything for Red, Chloe, and the rest of the team. If Neverland really becomes the setting for Descendants 6, then Hazel Hook could be about to step into the spotlight in a way we haven't seen before. Throughout Wicked Wonderland, Max Hatter carried a huge part of the emotional weight of the story. He was stuck in an impossible position, watching his own father become a villain because of a change Red and Chloe made to the timeline, and still choosing to help the people trying to stop him. That kind of conflict, being torn between loyalty to family and doing what's right, made Max one of the most compelling characters in the entire movie. Now, if the sixth movie really takes place in Neverland with Captain Hook involved, Hazel could end up in that exact same kind of position. If Pink really does turn evil and Captain Hook decides to team up with her, that would put Hazel directly in the middle of the conflict, forced to choose between her father and her friends. That's an incredibly powerful setup. And honestly, it mirrors exactly what made Max's storyline so emotional in the last movie. This also raises a bigger question. If Pink turns evil and joins forces with Captain Hook, we could be looking at a completely new villain duo. One built on manipulation and chaos rather than simple revenge. Captain Hook has always been portrayed as clever and calculating, someone who knows how to use people's weaknesses against them. If he ends up guiding Pink while she's vulnerable or emotionally unstable because of the mysterious object she found, he could easily push her further into darkness. The same way Chloe spiraled after feeling abandoned by Red. That means Hazel wouldn't just be dealing with a villain. She would be dealing with her own father actively working against her friends, and possibly even encouraging Pink's transformation. Honestly, out of every character teased for this movie, Hazel feels like she has the most potential for growth. She's been mostly in the background so far, but a storyline like this, one involving her father, her loyalty, and a friend slowly turning into an enemy, could easily turn her into one of the most important characters in the entire sixth movie. And with the cast already hinting at big names like Javier Bardem being considered for Captain Hook, it really does feel like the people behind this franchise are setting up something major for her character. If this theory turns out to be true, we're not just getting a new villain. We're getting an entirely new kind of emotional conflict. One where the line between family loyalty and doing what's right becomes almost impossible to navigate, while Pink's possible transformation and the trip to Neverland are the biggest mysteries heading into Descendants 6. We can't forget about the characters who carried us through the entire fifth movie, especially Red and Chloe. Their relationship went through so much in Wicked Wonderland. From Chloe turning evil because she believed Red didn't care about her, to Red finally apologizing and bringing her back to her good side. That emotional journey ended in a good place, and honestly, it feels like the sixth movie is going to build on that foundation rather than break it apart again. If Pink really does become the center of the next crisis, Red's role is probably going to shift toward being the one trying to save her sister, the same way she once had to save Chloe. That would create such a powerful parallel, watching Red go through a similar struggle again, except this time it's her own family on the line instead of a friend. As for Chloe, after everything she went through, making up with Red and helping Max find a way to save his father, it makes sense that her story in the sixth movie would take a calmer, more supportive direction. Instead of being at the center of the chaos, she'll probably be the one standing beside Red, helping her through this new crisis with Pink, using everything she learned about her own darkness to help someone else avoid the same fate. And then there's Louis Madrigal. We already saw how close he and Red became throughout the last movie, and if Louis's father really does end up being introduced in Neverland, that opens up a whole new personal storyline for him as well. It's very possible that Red ends up supporting Louis through his own family conflict, while Louis helps Red track down Pink, creating this back and forth dynamic where both of them are helping each other through very different, but equally difficult situations. We also can't forget about the Queen of Hearts and Cinderella. Their friendship became one of the most heartwarming parts of Wicked Wonderland. And it's likely that Cinderella will step up even more in the sixth movie, helping the Queen of Hearts get more involved in stopping whatever danger Pink is caught up in. After everything they went through together, seeing them fight side by side again would feel like a natural next step. So even with a whole new setting, new villains, and a completely different kind of threat at its core, Descendants 6 still seems to be about family, loyalty, and the people we choose to fight for. Now let's talk about something that could completely change everything we think we know, the mystery surrounding Red's father. There are already rumors circulating that Descendants 6 will finally reveal his story, something the franchise has kept hidden for a long time. And when you place this rumor next to everything else we've talked about, it starts to feel like more than just a random detail. If Pink really does turn evil because of the mysterious object she found, it's very possible that her father becomes involved in the story as well, especially if he's connected to whatever power or curse she's now dealing with. Imagine a storyline where Red isn't just trying to save her sister from turning into a villain, but is also forced to confront a father she barely knows anything about. Someone who could either help save Pink or, even worse, be part of the reason she's changing in the first place. That kind of twist would completely reshape the emotional core of the entire movie, turning it from a simple good versus evil story into something much deeper, a story about family secrets finally coming to light. And if this really does tie into the trip to Neverland, we could be looking at multiple families being explored at once. Hazel and Captain Hook, Louis and his father, and now possibly Red and her own long-lost father, all colliding in the same story. That's an incredibly ambitious idea, but based on everything the cast has hinted at so far, it doesn't feel impossible at all. Now, the biggest question everyone wants answered: when will we actually get to see Descendants 6? The good news is that the sixth movie has officially been confirmed, and production has already begun. However, since filming hasn't started yet, it's likely going to take a while before the movie is actually ready for release. Right now, late 2027 seems like the most realistic and optimistic release window, so fans are going to need to be patient. But honestly, based on everything we've broken down today, Pink possibly turning evil, a new world in Neverland, Captain Hook entering the story, Hazel's emotional journey, and the mystery of Red's father finally being revealed, it's clear that Descendants 6 is shaping up to be one of the biggest and most emotional chapters this franchise has ever attempted. So now it's your turn. Do you think Pink is really going to turn evil? Do you believe Descendants 6 is heading to Neverland? Let me know what you think down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to stay close, because there's a lot more coming very soon.